Good. All right. Except for Ussery, Terrence, Scott, and Don Bates. Don, can you give me a voice if you're there?
Well, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Very good. I've asked Don Bates to join us too. Don will be the new area director out of Denver. Everybody else, if you could, Mark, if you could help me with breaking in if somebody has a comment that we could all benefit from. I'm going to try to keep everybody else on mute tonight so we can get through as much as we can, as quick as we can. As always, huge thank yous to Scott Novak and Terrence Miles. These guys are so gracious to give back to the high school game for us. And I'm going to try hard to move quick through some kick plays. One of the issues with kickoffs, we have virtually no chance to train on them during the off season or even in preseason. And so we show up game one or even on a Friday night. We haven't seen a kickoff for 3 or 4 days, 5 days. And we got to be ready for just about anything. And so I want to start off with some mechanics manual conversation, and Terrence and Scott, we'll have them chime in if they see something something that can help us, as they do so much study at the NFL level that their contribution to us is awesome. So here we go. Real quick, housekeeping, those 3 dots in the lower right corner, you click that and change your change layout. And if you click on the spotlight, then you will only see the game film. All right, starting off, the first one is a drone footage. We've got the receiving team on the near side, kicking team lined up across. And I just want to start off with what we are focused on by our position. And so position-wise, you can see the head linesman here, back judge at the top right, line judge, and umpire. I've done some circles here to indicate what the mechanics manual wants us to initially look at. Certainly these are not just your players. We've got to officiate the play once we start moving downfield. Umpires, really our focus is on this collision point about the 25-yard line. And so my recommendation to umpires, give yourself a good angle. But this is literally the starting point of what players we try to focus on as they come downfield. Once we get to this point in the attack, we're really focusing on where the action is, where the colors are mixed. No reason to be officiating this guy and this guy at this point. We're looking for collision points. One of the things I wanted to talk about from a mechanic standpoint is there any need for this head linesman to even move? I think a lot of times we're moving and we don't need to move. So move with a purpose. We've heard Terrence talk about that quite a bit. Another thing I want to point out on kickoffs, the significance of the spot is very low. There's really not going to be any argument if we get that plus or minus a yard. And so don't overdo the spot of the end of the kick. Now we're going to look at a sideline view. I think this is a short return. All right, Scott, you be my white hat on this play. What do you have for us?
Well, I think we're probably just focused on the runner. If you're looking at the bill of his cap, he looks at nothing but the runner the entire time. So I would try to just look ahead. I don't think I'd be this far up. I would hit freeze because really, it looks like he's going to get caught up in the action. So we're no matter what type of play we're officiating, we definitely don't want to be too close to it. But all we're doing, in my mind, is just looking at runner.
Scott, I may want to add, too, in high school, I would stay on that goal line until we know that guy has possessed the ball. Because that referee should be parked on that goal line, not coming off it until – if that ball would have went through his legs and now we're scrambling to get back to the goal line.
So, Mark and Scott, is it safe to say from a referee standpoint, you want to assume that guy's not going to catch the ball or possess it when he's got it?
And the thing is, you don't need to physically see him catch it. I think if you're deep enough, you're going to know he's possessed it. But if you're back, just like Mark said, whether you have to be on the goal line or whatever, it gives you an opportunity to officiate the play and look at blocks. Now, granted, on this kickoff, nobody's blocking. Let's just be fair. No one on the blue team's blocking anybody. And a lot of times that's what happens in a high school game. But give yourself the best opportunity to officiate the game and the play.
Very good. All right, I'm going to try to get to my squiggly line here. All right, this is going to be a long return, and it's going to be on the near sideline. I put an X here on the lower part of the screen, I think our line judge is way too far downfield. And Scott pointed out earlier, we're pretty certain he's focused right here on that ball. You can see by the brim of his cap. We need to stay back here and get a decent angle on what's going to happen here. And you can see he's going to become straight line here in a second with chasing a runner downfield, not really able to officiate anything. So my message would be he's gone too far downfield, and then now he's in trouble here. Terrence, we talked a little bit earlier about that back judge and what support he can provide into this play. I've drawn a couple lines. What can you help us with? I know that's a long ways away, and it probably seems like we should be closer, but this is our mechanic staying on the sideline in case he reverses to the other side of the field. The back judge at the top of the screen would have goal line. Do you have anything for us on this?
No, I mean, I only thing I would say the fact that you are stuck to the sideline up there. I mean, you just don't want to get caught in officiating the runner and the ball. Just don't guard air. Look for where there could be trouble. If you stop it right there.
Gosh darn it. Sorry, Terrence. I pushed the wrong button. I'll get you there.
That's fine. There's a block. I think it was about the 41 or something.
Tell me when to stop.
Right there.
Right there. Yeah.
Go back to the 40. Right. Coming up.
Right here.
Yeah, right at the 40. You'll see these two guys come together. So just from a back judge standpoint or from anybody's standpoint, you need to just think, what's my next threat? What's my nearest threat? Because the guy is running out in space. He's not going to harm. He's not going to foul anybody, or nobody's going to foul him when he's out in space. So don't get caught ball watching. We hear it all the time, and we have to remind ourselves. But what's my nearest threat or potential foul that can happen? And so that block right there at the 40, I mean, the way your mechanics are, I mean, who should be able to pick that up? This guy right here that's running for I mean, the first thing that he did wrong was come down too far.
Yeah, I think if he were set up right here, he probably would have just slowly moved back upfield and probably would have had a pretty good beat on that as long as he wasn't watching this ball carrier.
Yeah, but right
if
now
he was set up back here,
yeah,
he would have been able to see that.
So then, like I said, the back judge, just look offside where you have those lines and, just do your best to get to the goal line.
Bates, you got anything? I don't want to.
Well, I'm in agreement with you. I would have stayed on that last play. If he had stayed on the 45, not gone any further than that, then he would have seen that block leading. It would have been coming towards him. And if you look at his brim, it really he should have been able to see it. I think because where he was at the 40, where it happens, he's too close. I think he's got a better shot at it, looking at the 45 stationary. That's what I like to try to do, is either look in front of or behind the runner, because that's where the action is going to happen. You want to see how did he get free, or does he break free because of the action in front of him?
What's up next, Kurt?
Say it again.
What do we have next?
So now we got line judge responsibilities. So I showed earlier how we set it up at the beginning of the kick. Now all of a sudden we'll start seeing how our eyes, as these different positions, will train to different areas. And so you'll see in the circle up here, we're going to end up with a block below the waist. This is the back judge's middle part of the field. And we back it up here. We're training our eyes right here. We've got to get these. We cannot miss these calls. Dangerous plays. So we end up with a block below the waist here. I've identified here this collision point for the umpire. I really like the angle here. If you get up here, umpires, you start moving up, you're going to be right in line with this, and it's going to be hard to see. Here we've got the referee tracking the ball carrier, but again, if there's no threat on that ball carrier, our eyes need to be up, possibly seeing this action here.
Hey, Scott, I got a question for you and Terrence. You guys, like on kickoffs, do you look at zones, like kind of what Kirk has drawn out here, but do you break it down into specific parts of the field? Or how do you officiate areas on a kickoff?
Yeah, we zone up the way we work it. I know for my sake, I'm top of the numbers to like the middle of the field. And then my umpire, we have two extra guys than you do. My umpire is working from his top of the numbers to the middle of the field. So we just zone up and then look for the the mesh point, the next nearest threat that's going to happen, and that's how we work the plays. Scott will tell you he zones up down where he is as well. So that's how we work that play.
Yeah. I mean, zone up and just you have to recognize threats. Once the colors, like in this play, once the blue player runs past a white player and a white player starts chasing somebody, and it's at the point of attack, I mean, that's the threat.
Yep.
So we don't get caught at looking at these 3 players or those 4 players. It's just we take zones. And again, I think that would probably be, if you could do that, since you're at a disadvantage with only 5 officials, and keep it boxed in as much as you can, you might give yourself the best shot to.
Hey, Kurt, I hate to go back, but can you go back to that previous play where we had that low block? I mean, I know you said, hey, this is a low block here, but over at the top. But my question is, let's just dig a little deeper into it. So why do we miss this? Because is this the head linesman that's up here at the very top?
Yes.
On the 30? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, we watch plays all the time and say, hey, we got to get this or whatever. But, let's dig a little deeper when you're watching film. Why do we not get this play? That's out in space. It's a low block. We just got to be thinking, hey, when we have change possession and things like that, low blocks or blocking the back, those are things we got to think about. But why does this play out in space get missed? Like, where is his eyes, or what is he looking at? He's right there, right? So,
Let's see.
Yeah, one of the things I like to focus on here is when you see players heading towards a block. You got some players out here that they're not even preparing to block anybody. We don't need to focus on those guys. We need to focus on the one that's going after somebody.
And so a term that I like to use, and it kind of help everybody remember this, who's swimming upstream? Who's the fish that's swimming upstream on this? That one guy right there, he's coming against the grain, right? Everybody else is kind of filtering back, trying to get in their pass block or, their kick return blocking mechanics. But this one guy decides to go upstream, right? So that needs to get our attention right away. Your antennas need to go up. So you got to be thinking about these things. Hey, I got a kickoff. No low blocks, no blocks in the back. Who's going upstream? Let me focus. Don't guard air.
Yep, I like it. Swimming upstream. All right, real quick, we're going to shift off of some mechanics. We always talk about being ready for anything and everything on a kickoff. This happens to be a fair catch signal by a mid-level return player. He signals fair catch here, kinda, and then we likely have KCI here as a kicker collides with one of these up guys trying to catch the ball. So this is all stuff that just can happen real quick. Opening kick on the game if we're not prepared for just about everything. So do a lot of work on your pre-snap, thinking through all the different scenarios that we could have.
So, Kurt, that's a good point. And we talk about progressions. So progression should be, first thought is onside kick, every kick. Second progression in my mind is fair squib kick or something driven into the ground. The third progression is a fair catch. So that's what I try to go through my mind on kickoffs.
That's a good point, Mark. And even in this case, we need to focus as officials. During the kickoff, typically we say don't ball watch, but there's value in this head or line judge right here on the near end looking at that football, and maybe even these other flank officials. We need to know if that ball was topped and popped up versus scooped. And I think there's nothing else to officiate other than whether that's going to happen or not, because Scott and Terrence at our level, if they pop that kick up and it goes up in the air, we've got to shut that down immediately as an illegal kick. So keep some eyes on the ball to see whether it was popped up or not, because if this ball was popped up in the air, we should have shut this down before it ever got this far. If it was a scoop kick, we've got a live ball and we could have the KCI as we should have in this case instead of a turnover.
Kirk, the other thing too, and not to beat this up, obviously I know you guys have access to film, and if you do film study on the teams that you're going to work, kind of like Terrence does for me every week, he shows us tendencies. And I know Brian brought this up. Look at where the kicker's positioned. Whether this play happened in week 1 and then you have in week 3, if they've done this and then you see this type of setup, it kind of helps you, be alert for that as well. Just like Mark's saying, yeah, you have all these things to look for, but if you scout these teams and you know that this has happened. If you see this again, it's another possibility. So,
hey, Kirk, get back to that play again because Sergio had a good point. And Sergio's point was, and I agree, we can't have two officials stacked up at the end of the play. We have two officials down there that are stacked up, and the umpire probably should have stayed back because no one's protecting the backside there, I think, a little bit. I mean,
hey, Mark, does he even need to come? Does he need to leave from the 50-yard line at all?
That's what Kurt said earlier. I mean, maybe 5 yards down.
I mean, like he could stay right where he is and just watch the action. Because
right there. We stop right there.
Yeah, the closer we get to the action, we shut our vision down.
Right.
I mean, distance is your friend. Just think of that. And so the closer he's climbing on that, I mean, his vision gets smaller. And so what Sergio was saying, I mean, you got two guys right on top of each other. If you see one guy coming in there, just back off and let him get the spot.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Watch this one with me real quick. So here I've circled the head linesman and the back judge who is way too far downfield again. And watch what happens.
Well, they're going to pass the baton. I like it. Nice.
That's what it looked like.
I'd drop the baton if that was me. I'm just saying.
That's what it looked like. And then we've got the same thing. Let's see, is it this thing? So yeah, this is Sergio's point exactly. You'll see the same thing. I just think we look bad when we're too close together at the end of the kickoff. Again, I go back to the significance of the spot. Is it really necessary to be lined up with the end of the run? That ball, if it's set up plus or minus a yard and a half in this case, it's irrelevant. But we end up with two officials right on top of each other like this, and that's not good.
You know what Terrence says it has a good thing about distance is our friend, and I like to see at least 10 yards cushion between those two sideline officials. So if the play progresses downfield, the officials got to give up turf and or take this forward progress spot as far as they can.
Yeah. Again, unlike a scrimmage down where we're really needing those wings to line up with the spot, on a kickoff, an angle is plenty accurate to locate that spot, the less significant spot. All right, I got one more play, and then we're going to end this. And this one is just a reminder: a ball that is still in kick status that enters the end zone is a touchback. All right, so I'm going to take you back here. So we've got referees on the goal line. Ball is bouncing. Return man is going to try to grab the ball. Slippery ball. Can't get a handle on it. Tries it again. Muffs it into his own end zone. The play is over. Okay?
Good one, Kurt.
Say it again.
Good one, Kurt. Good one.
Touchback. All right, that's all for tonight. We're going to end. Scott, Terrence, last words?
No, I mean, it's a good session. Let's just keep pounding away. Good job.
Good luck this week, guys. Good luck.
Thank you guys for everything. Mark, Donnie, I probably didn't give you enough airtime, Donnie.
That's quite all right.
We're gonna cut it off here. Fellas, thank you for joining us tonight. Have a good one.
Thank you. Have a good week.